Hey everybody, it's your girl Nell and welcome to another episode of Simply Nell's Tiny Studio. As promised, here is the next episode of Learn to Crochet with Nell, and today we're going to be learning how to treble crochet. So far we've learned how to we've learned the basic skills of learning how to crochet. So we've learned how to make a slip knot. We've learned how to chain, we've learned single crochet, we've learned half double crochet, and we have mastered double crochet. So the third skill that we're going to learn is, or I should say the fourth or fifth skill we're going to learn is treble crochet. Now, as you will see or notice, treble crochet, the stitch is a little bit taller than your basic single crochet, and it's taller than your half double crochet, and it's taller than the double crochet. And I want you to see exactly what I'm talking about. So let me clear my bench, my work table, so that you can get a better understanding. Now, what you're going to need today to be successful in class is you're going to need a skein of yarn or a cake of yarn. You're going to need, as I have right here, now, it can be any size that you prefer, okay? And your crochet hook should be commensurate with the skein of yarn. So what you're going to see is on your yarn label, if you turn it to the side, you will find the crochet hook size listed there. So hopefully you have a skein of yarn and you have a crochet hook that matches that yarn. Today I'm using a bulky yarn, so I will be used for tutorial purposes. So I will be using a size 10 clover hook. That's what I'll be using with this bulky yarn. The next thing that you're going to need will be some snippers or scissors. My grandmother calls them snippers. And boy, if you use them in the wrong way or may have an accident, they will definitely snip you. Snip that skin good. So you have a pair of snippers. And you're also going to need some stitch markers. Okay? So I have two different kinds today. You can get these off of Amazon. So I have these sewing clips, okay, and I also have the safety pin like stitch markers, which I use a lot and have, hundreds of them hanging around the tiny studio. So let me grab a few of those, because when we make our chain, we're going to chain 20, and we're going to need at least three stitch markers, because we're going to place a stitch marker. We're going to be counting in increments of 5. So we're going to need to have some stitch markers to mark our place, okay? And you're going to need something to hold your yarn in. So it could be a bag. It could be a project bag. It could be any container. It could be a cereal bowl. It could be anything that you can use right now to hold your yarn in, so it doesn't be rolling everywhere all over the place, or under your couch, under your chair, under your table, under a bed. You just want something to contain it in. Now, this is my yarn bowl. It took me a while to get a yarn bowl. I did not start off with a yarn bowl. I started off in crochet with just a project bag. And then when I went to see Wonder Woman 84, I really love the popcorn, the souvenir popcorn container. So I have 2 of these in the tiny studio, and I use these as I have used them as my yarn bowl. You just need something to just contain your yarn, okay? All right, so we have learned how to single crochet. Like this is single crochet, and as you see with single crochet, the stitch is smaller. Not only that, the stitch is more compact, okay? and not loose at all. There are no spaces within single crochet. Very tightly woven together. This is single crochet. Then as you graduate in stitch, you have your half double crochet. And with half double crochet, it's still tightly woven, but not so much. And you also have a little stretch there. Let me get my hook there. And as you see, the stitch is just a little bit taller than your single crochet. Okay, just a little bit taller. All right, then we go to our double crochet, and this is our double crochet. And if you notice with the double crochet, it's looser, stretchier, there's more space within the stitches. And then if you notice, with double crochet, the stitch is a little bit taller. It's taller than the half double crochet, and of course it's much taller than your single crochet. So what we're going to work on today is the treble crochet, and treble crochet is taller, much taller than your double crochet. So let's begin. All right, okay, let me get my yarn in this bowl here. Okay, all right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with our slip knot. Okay, now I have a tutorial on how to make a slip knot if you have forgotten how, or if you need a refresher. But let's make a slip knot. Okay, here we go. And there's your slip knot. Okay, I'll do it one more time. And there's our slip knot. Okay, so now we're going to chain 20. Okay, we're going to chain 20, but we're going to count in increments of 5. And every 5th stitch, we're going to place a stitch marker there. Okay, remember, as you are chaining, do not chain too tight, because when we go back around, we have to be able to slip our crochet hook into that stitch. So remember, try your best not to make your stitches or your chain too closely woven together. Okay, so let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now let's put a stitch marker, our 5th stitch. Let's continue. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's place a stitch marker there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and let's place another stitch marker on the 15th stitch. 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So we have just chained 20. Okay? As you will discover, in crochet, we do a lot of counting. So it would be best if you invested in some stitch markers, and the stitch markers can very well help you to count, will help you keep track of how many stitches that you have, so that you don't slip up and lose a stitch or drop a stitch. You want to make sure that when you're reading a pattern that you have all of the required stitches, because let me tell you, one missed stitch or drop stitch can, you'll have to frog your whole project. So that's why counting is very important. So I want you to get in the habit of using your stitch markers to help you count your stitches, okay? All right, so let's get to the technique of treble crochet. Now, with single crochet, you only need to have one loop on the hook. With double and half double crochet, you need 2 loops on your hook. But for treble crochet, you need 3 loops on your hook. So let us yarn over so that we can have 3 loops on our hook. Okay? So let me say that one more time. With single crochet, you only need 1 loop on your hook, right? With double crochet, and half double crochet, you need 2 loops on your hook. For treble crochet, you need 3 loops on your hook. Okay? Now, let's enter the second stitch from our hook. Let's enter that second stitch from our hook. Okay, here we go. All right, let's grab some yarn and pull it through that stitch. And now we have 4 loops on our hook, right? Let's yarn over. Now we have 5 loops on our hook. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull through 2. Okay. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over again. Now we're going to pull through 2 more. Okay. Now we're left with 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over again, and we're going to pull through both of those loops. And that is treble crochet. Okay. So I want to make sure that when I come back around, I can hit that. I will see where I began. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark my stitch, or mark where I was at. I'm going to mark that first treble crochet stitch. So now I've marked it. Okay, there we go. So let's do it again. 1, 2. So now I have 3 loops on my hook. Let's go into our next stitch. Let's enter it. Let's grab our yarn, pull it back through. Now, how many loops do we have on our crochet hook? We have 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2. Now I have 3. Yarn over, pull through 2 more. Now I have 2 left. Yarn over and pull through 2 more. Okay, you see how tall that stitch is? Look at that. You see how tall that treble crochet is? That's a pretty tall stitch. And then look at the space. That's a lot. That's a larger spacing there when you compare to the single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This is a large space there, isn't it? Let's try it again. 1, 2. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. Let's go into that space there. Let's go into the stitch, under, there we go. Pull our yarn through. Now we have 4. We have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over. Now we have 5. Pull through 2. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over. Pull through 2 more. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over. Pull through the last 2. That is treble crochet, y'all. Let's continue to do this. And remember, you can do it. Now we're at the, I think this is 15. So you can remove your stitch marker from the 15th stitch. Let's go through here. Now I've used this treble crochet for, I've used it for blankets. I've used it for scarves. It's a great stitch. But if you're going to make a scarf, you have to be mindful that scarves, you know, especially scarves for the fall winter season, you know, we're making these, I'm making scarves to keep people warm. So you have to be mindful that sometimes these, you know, with these large, the spacing, you know, it's cute, but is it really going to keep your customer warm? That's the whole thing. And you want them to be warm. But I love the style of it. I enjoy the texture of treble crochet, and I think it's cute. Okay, let's see. We're getting tied up there. We are. Pull this down. I hope that you are having a fantastic, look at that. I hope you're having a fantastic Saturday afternoon. I'm having a pretty decent Saturday. One, two, three. Remember, treble crochet means you have 3 loops on your hook. Okay, now we're at the 10th stitch. And when you get the hang of it, you will most definitely enjoy it. And you'll go faster. I'm trying to keep from going fast right now. Because, you know, this is one of my favorite stitches. But once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to move, or your speed will increase, I should say. I don't know how I got this yarn tangled up like this. I tell you, I can hear my grandmother right now. Darnell, what did you do? What did you do, Darnell? What did you do? My grandmother is now a great-great-grandmother. Yeah, my nephew just became a dad. And my nephew is my grandmother's great-grandson. And my nephew named his daughter Khadijah. Welcome to the family, Khadijah. I am now a grand aunt. But, you know, I've been a grand aunt for a while because I have my husband's nieces, our nieces, have children. So I've been a grandniece for about, let's see, I've been a grandniece for about 13 years now. Wow. But on my mom's side now, I am a grandniece. Okay, now we are at the 5th stitch. Okay. Have you noticed how those stitch markers come in handy? And like I said, one thing about crochet is that we do a lot of counting. You know, we do a lot of counting. So it's very good at the beginning to, you know, get in the hang of using stitch markers to help you count your stitches. Okay. Yes, my sister is now a grandmother. That is so wonderful. On my mom's side, there are 4 of us. I was the first daughter to give my mother a grandchild. And then, let's see, me, I have 4 children. My sister has 3 children. And my younger brother has 1. So my mom has been a grandmother for a minute now. She's been a grandmother for 38 years. Because my oldest daughter will be 38. Yeah, I fixed that. My oldest daughter will be 38 in September. Okay, remember, treble crochet, 3 loops are on your hook. Okay, we're making some waves. Yay! Okay, go through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2 more, yarn over again, and pull through the last 2, 3, and now we are at the beginning. Okay, let's go through that stitch. We have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2 more. Whoop, whoop, gotta do that again. Okay, let's do this. Okay, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more, yarn over, pull through your last 2. And there we have the very first row of treble crochet. Isn't that wonderful? Don't you just love the way that looks? The texture is just awesome. Look at that. But as you can tell, as you see, the stitches are very tall. You see that? You notice that how tall those stitches are? Pretty tall. All right, so let's go on and finish up our last row together. Okay, we need to get back around to where we began, right? Right. So let's go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and let's turn our work. All right, yay, we've done it. All right, and we're going to go into that same stitch, or the stitch that we the first stitch from our hook. So here we go. Let's put 3 loops on our hook, 1 and 2, and now we have 3, and we're going to go right into this stitch here. All right, let's go inside of it, grab our yarn. Now we have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more, up. All right, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, you see that? That is so wonderful. You're doing so well. Let's continue. As you know, as the rows increase, it becomes easier to get it done. And you're going to notice my speed is going to greatly increase. And if you want to make a scarf or a blanket using this stitch and using a bulky yarn, you can whip something up quickly. It will not take you long at all. You notice how tall the stitches are? They are very tall. Let's see. You notice that? So, see how tall those stitches are? Look at that. Treble crochet. Remember, treble crochet, 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2 more. Yarn over, pull through your last 2. 3 loops on your hook. Go through and or under the stitch. Grab your yarn. Now you have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2 more. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. I so enjoy crocheting. It's such a wonderful, it's just a wonderful gift that my grandmother gave me when she taught me how to crochet. Just a wonderful gift. And it's just, you know, awesome that I could just sit here and give back like this. I promised this video for a minute now, so I just wanted to make sure that the things that I promise, I deliver on them. Because that's really important too. You have to be a woman of your word. One of those things that was really drilled into me when I used to sell Mary Kay. I was in Chrisette Ellis's, or First Lady Chrisette Ellis's Mary Kay grouping or family, and that was one of the things that she really emphasized: becoming a woman of your word. Can I count on you? Can I trust you to do what you say you were going to do? You said you were going to set up 3 Mary Kay classes. Did you do that? You know, are you a woman of your word? Can I count on you to do that? You said you're going to, your goal is to make $600 in sales this month. Can I count on you to do that? Excuse me. Are you a woman of your word? And that stuck with me. You know, I sold Mary Kay maybe about 3 different times, but I think being in First Lady Chrisette Ellis's group and getting to know or hanging around people who were inspirational, like Chrisette Ellis and Gloria Mayfield Banks, they really show you how to run a business and how to be loyal to your customers, and how to show other women that, how to lead other women, how to be a leader. And being a leader means that you have to be a woman of your word, right? Yes. All right, now we're down to we're back at our last, which is our first stitch. You see that? That's why it's really important to mark. Use your stitch markers. That's very important. All right, so I know my bench is not moving here, but it is. Okay, so let's hit that last stitch. We already have 1 loop on our hook. Let's put on here 2 more loops. 1, 2. Let's go into this last stitch, which was really the first stitch from the previous row. Let's go in. Let's grab our yarn. Yarn over. Pull through 2. Yarn over. Pull through 2 more. Yarn over. Pull through the last 2. And there you have it. And that's interesting because it looks like that was the end of that part of the yarn, right? Right on time. Right on time. And so here you have it. treble crochet. And look how the spacing, look how tall that stitch is. Look at that. See how tall that is? Treble crochet. Look at how tall that is. And like I said, I've made scarves with this stitch. Yes, but here's the thing. You have to be very cognizant of the fact that when people buy your work or your scarves or your blankets, you know, yes, sometimes if it's a heritage or a legacy blanket, of course, it's just, you know, for style and, you know, not necessarily for comfort, but, you know, if you're making someone a scarf and you know that they're going to wear it because they want to keep warm, then the stitch may not be the best stitch or the advisable stitch to craft to make a scarf for your customer or your client because of the the cold air can get in between here. Yes, yes. But look at that. This is treble crochet. I hope that I was able to help you today. I hope that you were able to learn something new today. I really do. And that's treble crochet. So we have learned the basic stitches of crochet. We have learned how to single crochet. We have learned how to half double crochet. We have learned how to double crochet. And now we have learned how to treble crochet. So my suggestion to you for homework is that you complete 20 rows of treble crochet. All right, 20 rows. What you're going to do is the same thing or continue this because this is only 2 rows. So if you make 20 rows of treble crochet, then you'll have your nice cute little it'll be a big hand towel, you know, but actually what you're trying to do is you're just practicing. We're not really making anything right now. You're just practicing treble crochet. So go ahead and continue for homework, continue and make an additional 18 rows of treble crochet. And then when you finish, you can take it apart and then work on the basic skills. Go ahead and make rows of 20 of single, rows of 20 of half double, rows of 20 of double crochet. And then, you know, go ahead and make rows of 20 of treble crochet. Keep practicing. Practicing makes proficient, right? Not perfect, but it makes proficient. And that's what we want to do. We want to become proficient at learning crochet. Okay? I'm your girl, Nell. So if you enjoyed this lesson, if you enjoyed today's class, please do not hesitate to give me a like button. Hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And think about or consider becoming a sustainable member of the Tiny Studio, where you can hang out with me and other sustainable members in the Tiny Studio Lounge. It's members only. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that you had a really good time in the Tiny Studio. I had a really good time hanging out with you. And I will let you know when we're going to get back in the studio and continue some more learning to crochet. I think the next thing we're going to get into, I made a prototype already, is we are going to learn how to make a granny square. So our next project is learning how to make a granny square. If you are interested or you think you'll be interested in learning how to make a granny square, please let me know in the comments section. But our next class is going to be learning how to make a granny square. And of course, you have the basic skills right now to master making a granny square, because a granny square consists of double crochet clusters of 3. Okay, so you already know the basics of how to crochet. So the next time we get together, we're going to put those basic skills together and we are going to make a granny square. How about that? Thank you so much for watching. I'm your girl Nell, and I'll see you next time here in the Tiny Studio. Bye-bye.